It's been 4 years since the first season of Hawkeye, and fans are ready for season 2. But before we discuss what could happen in the future of the series, why not reminisce about what happened on the show before? Spoilers for the MCU's current state ahead. Hawkeye Season 1 takes place 1 year after the events of Avengers Endgame, during the holiday season of 2024. The series opens by introducing Kate Bishop. The talented archer's story begins in 2012, when her life changed forever during the Chitauri invasion. As a New Yorker, Kate experiences this horrifying event with first-row seats. Of course, this also means she gets to see the Avengers kick some butt in real time, especially Hawkeye. Kate, who is still a young girl, witnesses Clint jump from a building after taking down some aliens. Following her beloved father's death, she is inspired by Hawkeye to become a master archer. So fast forward 12 years, and now Kate is an expert marksman and an amazing fencing fighter, and a great martial artist. She just needs someone to believe in her. Fortunately, Clint Barton is about to appear.
You're a Hawkeye!
And who the hell are you?
Now Clint has been dealing with some stuff too. It's been a year since they took down Thanos. The Avengers aren't a thing anymore, and he has to sit and witness the glamorization of some of the worst days of his life. For example, Black Widow's sacrifice. Between Rogers the musical and the many groups who believe Thanos was right, Clint isn't having an easy time in New York. Things only get more complicated when a mysterious figure dressed in his former Ronin outfit appears. You probably remember that Clint went through a very dark path after the snap. With all his family gone, he resented those who survived. So he became Ronin and pursued surviving criminals, killing them with no mercy. This past still haunts him, so seeing a Ronin loose on New York pushes him to investigate further. As it turns out, it's Kate. The young woman is investigating her future stepfather's shady business, and after getting in trouble during an auction of Avengers memorabilia, she has taken the suit without understanding its true meaning. This is their first meeting, with Clint ready to punch the masked warrior on the face, right before realizing it's just a teenage girl. It's obviously chaotic, but so is their whole team up. Now their fates are intertwined, especially because the Tracksuit Mafia is after both of them. This group of criminals works for Maya Lopez, who has a vendetta against Clint for killing her father. At the same time, Kate pushes to know more about her stepfather's intentions. Jack Duquesne, aka Swordsman, is the CEO of a company that launders money for the Tracksuit Mafia, so these two storylines are definitely interconnected. If this wasn't enough, Yelena Belova joins the mess. Convinced that Clint is guilty of Natasha's death, she tracks him to kill him. It takes a couple of epic fights to convince Yelena that Black Widow sacrificed herself. This storyline first introduced the hilarious dynamic between Kate Bishop and Yelena Belova. It would be great to see these two team up again in the MCU. But back to Hawkeye. The biggest revelation of the series is that Maya works for Kingpin, who by the way sent Ronin after her father. Additionally, Kingpin is working with Eleanor Bishop. Yep, Kate's mom. It was never Duquesne. In the end, Kate has to see her own mother get arrested. Clint burns his Ronin suit as a symbol of him letting go of his guilt, and Yelena accepts Hawkeye's explanation and leaves. This is the beginning of her path to becoming a new Avenger. Finally, Clint takes Kate to meet his own family and offers her to take the Hawkeye mantle. This is definitely the most exciting thing about the season. Now that we have refreshed your memory, it's time to consider what's next for the Hawkeyes in the MCU. A lot has happened in the last 4 years, so surely some of it will give us some clues about what's next. Since Clint gave Kate the Hawkeye mantle at the end of Season 1, the most logical thing to happen would be for Kate to become the main character in Season 2. A series with Kate Bishop in the spotlight would be the perfect way to introduce her now as an independent hero in New York. If the second season of Hawkeye focuses on Kate only, this would establish her as the new Hawkeye immediately. Besides, it would allow Marvel Studios to delve into her own story. Who is she beyond Clint? Does she get any villains of her own, or even an arch enemy? Is she getting a sidekick? Or better yet, how will she fare on her own? Kate is an amazing marksman, but she has never been a hero without Clint next to her. So a second Hawkeye season could explore her time as a solo hero in New York, like Daredevil or Spider-Man. This season may focus on her own journey and maybe on her own mistakes. After all, if Kamala found Kate by the end of the Marvels, it's likely Kate has been working as a solo vigilante already. Otherwise, she wouldn't have left a lead for Ms. Marvel to find her. The Hawkeye second season could take place before the Marvel's post-credits scene. And speaking of Kamala, we know the Young Avengers or Champions, or simply Marvel's first young super team, is on its way. So obviously there's also a big chance that Hawkeye Season 2 will focus on this group, at least a little. For example, the series may follow Kate Bishop as she finds new members for the team, or even stumbles upon a potential ally. Even including a Kamala Khan cameo? We're not asking for much, are we? Since Hawkeye Season 2 may be the next time we see Kate, it would make sense for this series to be the project that finally dots the I's and crosses the T's for the Young Avengers to become official. Kate will likely be the oldest member of this team, so it would make sense for her to be the leader. Since superheroes became a thing, organizations like S.H.I.E.L.D. have been working incessantly to ensure certain control over them, or at least to keep an eye on them. Do Kamala and Kate really think they will simply jump into action, no questions asked? If their story is anything like in the comics, they will find themselves dealing with some bureaucracy before they can even get into a battlefield. Likely, some heroes won't accept them since they're too young, like Sam Wilson. This is where Clint would come up. The Young Avengers will need a mentor, and Clint is the perfect option. First, he already has a close connection with Kate Bishop, and we've seen he can rarely say no to her. Additionally, he's already a father, so he knows how to deal with younger people. Not only that, but he actively goes out of his way to help youngsters. Who can forget how close he became with the Maximoff twins during Avengers Age of Ultron? Clint could mentor the team, teaching them that they can't just hit the ground running, but they need a proper plan to become an official team. They also need financial aid, a home base, and many other things nobody really considers. The Avengers only got to do what they did thanks to Tony Stark's money in great part. It's weird to think about it, but it's just the realistic aspect of it all. Of course, they also need to train. Fortunately for them, Clint is already an expert at what he does, and he's also human, so he understands they have to take their training seriously. He also knows that you don't have to have superpowers to be a great Avenger, so he's more likely to have faith in them than others. This takes us to the last point. Clint could vouch for this Young Avengers in front of S.H.I.E.L.D. With his history, that would make a difference if this organization tries to stop the younglings from becoming vigilantes. Maybe Clint could also help Kate and Kamala convince the rest of the superhero community and even the general public that this is not such a bad idea. It would only take one person to believe in them, and that could definitely be the Hawkeye. Clint already signaled that he's ready to retire from the Hawkeye role. He already gave Kate the mantle, and this makes sense. After everything he's been through, he deserves a simple, safe life with Laura and his kids. However, as one of the main Avengers, he also deserves a proper goodbye, a last hurrah, if you will. After all, the show's name is Hawkeye. There's still plenty that could happen with Clint on a solo adventure. For starters, we already saw him shed his guilt about his time as Ronin. He even burned his former suit. But with vigilantism growing strong in New York, according to Daredevil, born again, it wouldn't be weird for a Ronin copycat to appear. There have been around a dozen characters to take the Ronin mantle in comics, like Maya Lopez or even Matt Murdock. So this wouldn't be a rare thing to happen. Of course, Clint wouldn't be happy knowing someone was inspired by one of his darkest times to commit crimes, so he would surely grab his bow and travel to New York to try and stop them immediately. This storyline could take inspiration from Hawkeye, Freefall by Matthew Rosenberg. In this 2020 series, a new Ronin appears in New York, but he isn't a hero. Instead, he's a force of chaos. Of course, the authorities soon point out Clint as the guilty party, so now he has to deal with that to clear his name. This series has an interesting plot twist, but still, it could be a great inspiration for a second Hawkeye season, in which Clint has to ensure nobody thinks he's the killer, or even Kate. Another option for a villain on a storyline that desecrates Clint's legacy like this would be Bullseye. During the Dark Reign era, Norman Osborn created his own version of the Avengers, the Dark Avengers. Bullseye, who also has incredible marksmanship, took the Hawkeye mantle. Of course, Bullseye was far from heroic. Instead, he would stop criminals, but only to kill the victims too, just for the sake of killing. He's just sadistic like that. Now that Benjamin Poindexter, aka the MCU Bullseye, went into hiding following his attempt to kill Kingpin, getting a new moniker would be a great way to save himself from Wilson Fisk's rage. He probably knows he would be an incredible Hawkeye, and Hawkeye isn't around anymore. If Poindexter decides to impersonate Hawkeye, Clint would learn about this soon enough. Bullseye and Hawkeye are surely the two best marksmen in the MCU, so the villain would be a real challenge for Clint. An epic fight between these two, combining their martial arts skills and marksmanship expertise, would be a proper farewell for the hero. It could also happen that Fisk ends up bringing the MCU into a dark reign like Norman Osborn did in the comics. After founding the Anti-Vigilante Task Force, declaring martial law, and outlawing vigilantism in Daredevil Born Again, he's more powerful than ever, so it wouldn't be strange for him to create his own team of Avengers. The Avengers and the New Avengers will coexist soon, so the Dark Avengers could too. Surely Clint won't just go down without a fight if he learns this villain is tainting the team's reputation. By taking down another Ronin or an evil Hawkeye impersonator, Clint would save his legacy as a last act of love to his story in the MCU. After this, he could take the back seat and let Kate become the new Hawkeye, for good this time. In February 2025, Brad Winderbaum, aka the head of the MCU TV branch, used Hawkeye as an example of a limited series that could have some potential. Winderbaum specifically commented that it feels like you can make a second season of that show because it's Christmas, because it's Clint and Kate. With this in mind, a great possibility could be to get a seasonal treat. Picture a second Hawkeye season that, again, follows these heroes during the Christmas season. This time it's a year after saving the multiverse, of course. There are endless possibilities for what this Christmas season could bring, but likely it will push forward on Kate and Clint's story. Since it would be set in the near future, the series could delve into Clint's life in retirement. Maybe he's still living on his homestead in Iowa with his family, enjoying his free time until Kate arrives with a problem she needs to solve with his help. Or maybe, just maybe, the Bartons have taken advantage of Clint's retirement and moved somewhere warmer, like the West Coast? Yes, you're thinking what we're thinking. West Coast Avengers. One of Hawkeye's biggest accomplishments in the comics is founding the West Coast Avengers in an attempt to expand this team's influence over America. You probably have noticed that everything important in the MCU tends to happen in New York. Vision realized Earth's mightiest heroes needed to go beyond, so Clint reunited a team to help him protect California and other Western states. This team has been around since the mid-80s. Now, the MCU is branching out when it comes to the Avengers. We now have the original Avengers, the New Avengers, and soon the Young Avengers. So why not add the West Coast Avengers to this equation? This team could expand the concept of Avengers even further for following sagas, like it happened in the comics. Originally, they were only this small group of heroes, but soon the idea of the Avengers became a more abstract concept. There can be tons of different Avengers as long as they fight the good fight. The New Avengers already started this, but why not push forward? Who knows? Maybe the MCU could create original Avengers groups. The only thing for certain is that the bickering relationship between Kate and Clint would stay just the same. As of right now, Marvel Studios has only laid down its plans up until the end of Phase 6, which has just begun. The climax of the multiverse saga will definitely take place during Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. The success of Thunderbolts and the upcoming Fantastic Four films are setting up these team-up films, and a Spider-Man movie might be the perfect complement to blend this all together. Can you imagine Peter Parker face-to-face with a Doom that looks just like his mentor Tony Stark? Fans are definitely have mixed feelings about Robert Downey Jr. returning, but nobody can doubt it's great to see him back in the MCU. There's good reason he's front and center promoting these upcoming films. Recently, the MCU revealed the cast for Avengers Doomsday, which features some of the original MCU heroes like Thor and Sam Wilson, newer faces like Namor and the Fantastic Four, and the biggest surprise of it all, iconic X-Men from the 20th Century Fox films like Magneto, Professor X, and Mystique. Sadly, no Hawkeye, no Clint Barton, and no Kate Bishop. And unfortunately for the hardcore fans of the Archers, this makes sense. We know Clint has retired, and Kate is currently a work in progress as a hero, so she can't just waltz into battle against a multiversal threat no matter how much she wants it. Since a potential Season 2 for Hawkeye hasn't been announced just yet, all this means is that if one of the Archers makes it back into the MCU, this won't happen until after the end of the multiverse saga. As of today, it's practically impossible to know if a potential Hawkeye second season will actually tie to anything from before that time. Regardless, here's hoping for a Phase 7. What do you think will happen in Hawkeye Season 2? Even better, what would you like to see? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching CBR.